Hi, and welcome to Learn with Sawgrass. This is our Wednesday morning edition. We are with you live every Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern and every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm Rhonda, the Education Manager here at Sawgrass. Rhodes is on the other side of the camera, and if you do have any questions or any comments, feel free to put them in the chat. He'll be glad to answer them. And we're glad you're with us, whether it's live or whether you're going to join us a little bit later on in the recording. We're always glad to have you here. So just a recap of yesterday, because it was kind of an exciting day. First of all, as you can tell, we are in a slightly different studio. My normal studio is set up for Christmas, and that felt a little weird doing all the fall decor. So we'll be in here this week. Not sure about next week yet, but that's why we have a little bit of change of scenery, but I looked back at yesterday and it looks great, so that's all that matters. We did do a wonderful wreath yesterday, combining technologies, traditional crafting, making a wreath, with adding in some VersaFlex elements. So if you haven't seen it yet, please check that out. That's a lot of fun. And then you can enjoy my misery, because I did get one of the worst hot glue gun burns of my life during that workshop. So you can always go back and look at that. I'm just saying, I'm glad I'm left-handed. So if you did not get to join us yesterday, we did these leaf forms and used them. And so they are uncoated wood. With the VersaFlex, we added a pattern all over and then added a bunch of these leaves to the wreath. And then I was able to make my own ribbon. So I have decided, even though I kind of had plans for the rest of the year, that we are actually going to have a ribbon workshop, because I really love the way the ribbon turned out. I want to talk about all the different ways you can use ribbon as we get into the holiday season. So have fun with that. And coming up soon. So today we have a lot more fun for you. I have 3 projects, and they are all around fall decor. So I actually had a meeting with someone after the workshop yesterday, and was saying that I really feel that interior designers, party planners, event planners, wedding planners, interior designers, if I didn't say it before, are all really great sweet spots for VersaFlex. So if you've not heard my spiel about VersaFlex before, you know us for our sublimation ink. As you know, sublimation ink becomes a gas when it is heated, and it needs to be paired with poly. So with our hard surfaces, that is a poly coating. When we talk about fabric, we're talking about polyester-based fabrics. So VersaFlex ink goes in an SG500 or an SG1000. You do need a new system. You cannot convert. But in that SG500 or SG1000 with the VersaFlex ink, now by switching out the paper to the VersaFlex light paper, you can go on to those things that have traditionally been off limits. So that's going to mean cotton fabrics, that's going to mean fabric blends, that's also going to mean your linens and your canvas and your burlap and your chenille and all of those fun fabrics. And then also your uncoated products. So while there is wood that has been coated with the poly for sublimation, this is just simply a piece of uncoated wood that I got off of Amazon. I am really adoring this particular one. The thickness really helps, I think. It made the press so easy and so wonderful. But that's the beauty of VersaFlex, that you can go on to those type of products. So as I was saying, when I talk about fall decor, the beauty here is whether you are a crafter or an occasional seller and you're mostly making things for your home, well, these are going to be some great projects. If you sell, you need to find an interior designer, an event planner, a wedding planner to work with, who you can sell to, or you can get them into sublimation and VersaFlex as well. And I did forget to say this. With your VersaFlex ink, you can still do your traditional sublimation with your sublimation paper. So it is the best of both worlds. Today we're just going to focus on some VersaFlex light projects. I think you're going to love them. Hopefully they'll give you some ideas for your home, but also some things to add to your store or to help other people kind of partner with them to help them sell with it too. So let's go ahead and jump in. So we are going to make a table runner. We're going to make a placemat, and then we are going to make a coaster. Now, let's start with the fabric. So we're going to go ahead and start with that placemat. Actually, yeah, let's start the placemat. All right. So I do, and I say this every time, I do a lot of my designing in my Sawgrass design tool. The main reason being, for me, it's really easy. I have the My Sawgrass Plus subscription. It gives me great access to a lot of great artwork without me having to go somewhere and look and buy individual pieces. I have a lot at my disposal with that membership. So that's typically where I do my designing, but of course, we will talk about the Sawgrass print utility as well. Everyone's going to be using that no matter where you design. And I have occasionally designed somewhere else and just brought it into the program too. So we are for this, I think a full 8.5 by 11 works perfect for this placemat. So I'm actually just going to go into my blank sheets. And I'm going to pull up that landscape 8.5 by 11 because I know that works perfectly for this. All right. And if that seemed a bit confusing in my head, I had 11 by 17 paper in the printer like 2 minutes before we started the workshop and had just switched it out. So that's why I kind of did the but what, because I was trying to figure out which paper I had in there. All right. So we're going to go ahead and jump into autumn. These designs that I'm using are in both autumn and they are, if you're in the US, they're in Thanksgiving as well. But there's a really special section that I love. And I do have to tell you, as we're getting into the coasters, I felt like I had to make my coasters match with everything else I was doing. But if I did not, we would have been doing some cute fall gnome coasters today. Because I think those gnome designs that we have paired with those wood rounds would be phenomenal. And luckily, we have lots of wood rounds. So we're going to go back and do that at a later date. Okay, so I'm going to use this particular design. That's not the design I was wanting for the placemat. We're going to use this gratitude design. I really love this. I think it's going to be great. Now, for everything I'm doing today, I'm getting rid of the background. We really don't need the background on these projects. So I'm going to get rid of that and just use what's already on there. And then you may have seen me do this yesterday. I found a website that had some really great oranges to use. I am very fond of this dark orange. So we're going to use that. Now this is going to take me a minute, so just kind of bear with me as I talk through this. But this design, I'm going to have to change this everywhere it is to get it to the color I want. And hopefully I'll do it correctly. Which I am not, so hold on one moment. Oh, I know, I did the same thing this morning. You have to click on the color that you're changing and then change it. I knew I learned something important already today. All right, and I'm just doing the keyboard shortcuts here. I'm just doing a copy and a paste on this to make this faster. And I'm going to remember to change that every time. All right, so while we're here, we're going to do something a little different just to show you. All right, delete a couple of these. let me get this changed. Okay. And he was going to do that. All right. I'm actually going to fit these over here. So I'll pull this down. Get rid of this guy. Pull these up. Okay, perfect. All right. So one thing I've noticed is that this bottom is just flipped from the top. So I'm actually going to delete this. I'm going to copy this whole piece. I am going to duplicate it. And then once I get it to the bottom, I'm going to flip it. So I'm just going to flip that over. And now they're going the other direction. And that fits really, really well. All right, cool. Now, I could grab this, stretch this out, the two pieces to fit better, but I really like the phrase in the middle, and I don't want to make it too small. So we're going to grab that. I'm going to go over here and grab this other orange, which I think will still be dark enough for what I need. Now this time I'm going to go into my font. I'm going to go into my font color, drop this in, and hit done. Now again, we could play with this. I'm doing these as placemats. You can personalize this. So if you wanted to change the messaging to something else, you could put a family name here as well. So this is kind of that fine point between selling and making. So if I were doing these just to put in a cell or put them in a store as generic, or to even sell to an interior designer, I may do it like this with a word like gratitude. But these are placemats. I could put the Thomas family, established 2020, whatever it is. So you can really personalize this and make this exactly what you want it to be. And it's really bothering me that this doesn't fully fit my 8.5 by 11, but that is okay for today. So we're going to go ahead and hit print. So Rhodes, as I'm hitting print, are there any questions or comments so far?
Lori says that she forgets to put the color every time.
It's one of those things you have to think about it. And sometimes I just don't do the thinking part well. All right. Okay. We're going to send that over to the printer. But again, this design is very versatile. They work great with the background, depending on what you're going on to. If I was going on to traditional sublimation, which is white, I would love that background and to use it that way. But with the VersiFlex, I will often do that. And we had a class a few weeks ago about changing up designs depending on the product. So with VersiFlex, that's definitely something I want to do. So, correct printer. It's sized well, so I'm good there. I do have that adjust for light colors on. I am going to call that cotton fabric. You can go with natural too. And we are going to hit print. While that is printing, let's go ahead and get our press set up and get that fabric pre-pressed. All right, so I am set at 375 for my 30 seconds. This is that placemat. Okay. Check my pressure too. I just randomly did this earlier and I do have it a little too tight. So let's loosen that up. Still too tight. I really cranked that too high. And now I'm going to go way too high. I'm going lower. I should be going. I'm following the. I is going the wrong way.
I was wondering, I kept saying it'd get tighter and tighter.
I wondered. Okay. Getting there. There we go. One more. Someday I'm going to take a picture of this press for y'all so you can see why this gives me such a pain. All right, that was too loose. Okay, good. Nice high pressure. All right, we're set and ready to go. Alrighty. Now this is VersaFlex. It does need to go on wet, but you noticed I let that sit on the printer for a minute. It's no problem. I actually did multiple presses yesterday over several minutes with no issue, just to kind of show that you can do that. What I typically do is I put my hands where I want it to be and then drop it down. I'm going to cover that with some paper. And we are set and ready to go. And that pressure may be too high, guys. I'll loosen it. All right, so that is pressing. Again, 375 for 30 seconds. With my fabric, I'm going to do high pressure. You're going to see with my wood, I'm going to go down 2 more on the medium side. And this is a hot peel. Oh my gosh. Which camera do you want to do, Rhodes?
Let's do camera 1.
Okay. Check this out. Is that not the cutest little placemat? I'll hold it up for you again. And I do have to shout out to my colleagues, Brett and Lindsay.
Do a little more time for me.
Okay.
There we go.
So the last 2 weeks as I prepared for yesterday's and today's, I've talked a lot to Brett and Lindsay about colors. I was running through some color stuff with them this morning to make sure I was kind of in the right colors to print and press well. So big thanks to them for all of their assistance over the last few days. And Brett is a great florist. He helped me with my flower selections for yesterday's wreath. All right, let's move on to this placemat. I mean, that's the placemat to the table runner. Okay, so this is going to be very similar. This table runner actually, let me grab it and explain. So I did the same thing when we did Christmas in July. I picked one of these up. It is probably one of my favorite things ever. This is really, really great, but we're going to press it in 3 segments. So I'm going to do something in the middle and something on both sides. Now, you're going to see with the design that I'm using, I'm going to use the same design. For this one, I think last time I did something different in the middle than on the sides. This is going to work well with the same, and you'll see why in a second. But this is just a really great cloth. I think I decided that this is the side that you press onto. And we're going to go ahead and do those 3 designs on there. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing for this. I'm going to do a blank sheet. I'm using the blank sheets instead of custom canvas because it's just easy for me. We're going to go back to that same area, designs, and then fall, and then autumn. And I do as well. I was saying I love the gnomes. I love this one too with the pumpkins. The colorful pumpkins are so very, very pretty. Okay. I want to make sure I'm going with the right one, or the one that I chose, which is this one. Again, we're going to get rid of that background. This one's a little bit easier. That whole background is one piece. So I'm going to go in again. I'm going to use the darker color for, and it really doesn't matter on this one. We can play around a little bit, but I really do love these two colors. So we're going to go in, click on it, change it, and hit done. And we're going to do the same thing for that text. All right. Oops, I think I'm going to have to do each one separately. All right, this is probably in front. So we are going to send this to the back. See if that makes my life easier. Yep, it did. Okay, now we'll have to change all of the text individually. Go. Making sure each time to hit the done button. All right. And again, this is something that you could always customize. I like doing this. I think it's really neat. But again, if you wanted to do a family name and establish, that would work really great within this nice border. You could do a saying that's more to your family or to your situation, but you could definitely change this up and make this your own. We're going to go ahead and hit print on this. Get that over. All right. There we are. We're going to hit that print button. And while that's thinking, I'm going to go ahead and pre-press this fabric. And make sure that I'm happy with the way I have this set up. I'm going to put a pressing pillow underneath this. Now why? Because the middle section is higher or lower than the outside. There is a seam there, and I wanted to cushion that and make sure that seam isn't making my press not work. Yep. I will remember how to loosen this time. All right. There we go. Perfect. Go ahead and move that over. I'm going to go ahead and pre-press everything just to get any wrinkles out. And one more little piece here. Just get that all nice and pre-pressed. Now remember, the purpose of the pre-press is not only to get any wrinkles out, it also gets any moisture out before we go to. Okay, that's ready. Okay. One moment, I didn't see my design come over, so we're going to try that again. I may have hit cancel instead, we'll see. All right, so I am having a connection issue. Right. Let's get logged back in. And send that design over. I'm going to try to send the same design. We may have to log completely out and back in. Yesterday I cleared cache, so that may be it, but we'll check it. Nope, that's what I'm going to have to do. Okay. I'm going to try just signing out, and I'll save it and then sign back in. If not, we will. I guess I should have saved it before I signed out and then saved myself some trouble. Let's see if it'll still let me or if it knows I'm signed out. All right. Hopefully it doesn't know I signed out. I'll be able to save this. We'll see. Yep, nope, not that lucky. So we'll redo that one real fast. All right. Okay. Let's log back in and go through that design really fast. And get that back up for you. Okay. We'll jump in. Now, Rhodes, while I'm doing this, have there been any questions or comments?
We are caught up right now.
Awesome. Okay. Grab all of that, copy that hex code and put it in. Okay, I'm going to send that to the back so I can grab my text easily. Let's get that color. Okay. Oops, I didn't hit my done button. Okay, done. And one more. All right, there we go. All right, we are set. All right, let's get back in there. And we're ready to go. Hit my print button. Send that over. All right. Okay. Oh, now I know what this problem is. That is because I cleared my cache. That is that pop-up blocker. So if you're hitting print and it's not going over, there's always check that. And I saw mine pop up. So that was my pop-up blocker. So we're all set. There's my artwork. We're actually going to send 3 of these. Now I'm going to call this, I'm going to call it cotton, because the cotton or natural fibers either way would work with this particular one. I'm going to do 3 copies. It fills the page completely, so instead of doing my repeat, I'm going to just do 3 copies of the same page with the same settings and hit print. Now the one thing I am going to want to do is watch this press or this printer closely. Because it is wet ink, I'm going to print each and make sure I'm grabbing it. And grab each of those and just lay them somewhere where I can press them. And again, it does need to go on wet, but it takes a while before the expander dries. So quite easily can do 3 presses on something like this with no issue. I do, though, want to grab it off the printer and not let them sit on top of each other. All right, there we go. That looks great. And of course, these leaves, these pumpkins are in our elements and our graphic designs. So if I wanted to, I could have put this in the middle and then put the pumpkins over to one side, or put the pumpkins and the leaves, pulled those elements and did those on the side instead of repeating the whole pattern. One more. All right, let's get started. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and center that kind of over to this one side. Grab my paper. All right. We're going to let that finish. Just looking again at this placemat, so pretty with that gratitude. A few weeks ago, we talked about creating collections. This is definitely a collection that works together. Different sayings, but you see me using the same colors. The designs used are very similar. So it all works together so beautifully. Oh my gosh. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this down. Put this one in the middle. Center that up nicely. That paper was a little weird, so I'm going to go ahead and get a fresh sheet just so I don't have anything sticky. If any of this design from the previous one were on the press, I'd want to make sure that's covered with any paper. Just so any of that design, if there's any residual ink, it doesn't get on top of the press. I'm going to grab this while I'm waiting. Okay.
Lori makes a good point here when printing VersaFlex. Make sure to leave the paper catch tray extended. Otherwise, you may have prints slide right off there and onto the floor when they're ready.
Yep, definitely. I have caught myself making sure that's done multiple times. Okay, one more. Okay. This is one where I'm going to make sure that definitely that paper covers all of that. Over to the side. Now I will go back and do a finishing press on this. Finishing presses are really good, about 10 seconds. You could do it at a lower pressure or you can do it at the same, but that finishing pressure really, sometimes depending on the fabric, it may pull the fibers a little bit, so it helps smooth them out. Like that. All right. Take a look. No, I could have centered better, but it looks really, really great. And such a beautiful table runner. All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set up this press while I'm standing here for my wood rounds. Temperature and time stays the same. Like I said, the pressure's not as heavy. You see there's a little resistance. One thing I've started kind of pointing out is that if you're ever doing wood and you get what feels like the expander is on there, a lot of times with the wood, that means your pressure's not high enough. So if you're having any shiny spots, make sure and just increase the pressure for the next time. Usually fixes it. All right, one more go. And I'm going to grab this guy. It should be roughly 4 inches that I'm aiming for, but I want to make sure. Yep, 4 inches. 4 inches, so a 4-inch square would work great on this. So I'm going to use a custom canvas. Okay. And you've seen me try to pick this design every single time because I love it so much. All right. Not too far. Okay. Now I'm going to do this as give thanks again. You could use this design and change the text. I'm going to go with everything in that. This color actually, I think is going to look really pretty on the wood. So I'm going to grab my wreath. Hopefully. Okay, this is being a little weird on me. If I move, this one moves. Okay, let's see if I'm going to be able to change the colors on this one. I may be going with a different design. I think this one is all just one piece, so I'm not able to go in and play with the colors, so that's okay. I will do what I had really been thinking about doing, which is I'm going to make my gnomes. All right. Even if I don't put them on the same table as my gratitude, well, my gnome is extremely cute, so I'm definitely going to use him. And this may be my favorite gnome because he's bringing pie. And I think if we're gathering at the table, we should all have pie. Now again, you could do a different coaster for each member of the family. So one that looks kind of similar to them, you could add names underneath too. I would call this gnome Bob, and I'd put Bob's name underneath. Maybe Bob, you know, Thanksgiving 2025, and then he'll always know when he got his nice wood coaster. So, or Thanksgiving at Jill's house, whatever it may be. All right. So we're going to go ahead and print that. But these wood rounds are also so versatile and so useful for projects like this. We're just going to go down. I have my default printer, has been really great to me today. We're going to go in and change this to our uncoated wood. And we're ready to go. Okay, now I'm going to cut a little of the paper off of this. It's just more manageable. You do want one side to hang off of the wood, so we call it a tab, just to make it a little easier to grab. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to leave one side a little bit longer. Now, people do talk a lot about the wet, that kind of worries them. Notice that it's not a drippy wet. There's no risk of the ink running. Also, you're going to see that I'm going to flip my wood over because the ink does actually stick to the product. So you really don't have to worry about that as much as you think you do. It's not something where if you just jostle it slightly that the ink is going to run or smear. All right, I think this guy's going to work best like this. I'm going to center it, drop that down. I'm going to slide this to the edge and flip that over. And we are set and ready to go. Now again, 375, 30 seconds. I am going with that lower pressure, but it's still on the medium side. Get our glove ready because this is a little warmer. All right. Again, it is a hot peel, so we're going to get that off as quickly as possible. Look at that. Okay. I think he's going to fit right in with the rest of my decor, or I may just put them in the living room, but I think he is absolutely adorable. And look how well those leaf colors look on that wood. Those are great. Oh my gosh, I am so in love with this. Glad that happy accident that we had to use the gnome, but he's adorable. All right, that's all I've got. Rhodes, do we have any questions or comments?
No, we are good to go.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, if you have not checked out our wreath workshop, please check that out. We will be posting that this week. The final wreath, I want to do a little bit of work on it today, expose myself to some more hot glue and get that all perfect and pretty and get that hung, and then we will get a picture for you on our social. We do have a podcast dropping this Friday, Remembering Differently. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, or Amazon Music as well. So please check us out. That's going to be a really great one with Karina from Crafty Carrie. And we're going to talk some more about VersaFlex. So it's been a great week for VersaFlex this week. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.